have yesterday gone through the shlokas of Isha Upanishad, and as I mentioned, they are one of the most powerful shlokas in the whole of Upanishads. The very Shanti mantra of Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. The very meditation on this shloka, contemplation on this shloka is exhilarating, it's emancipating, it's liberating. That it's everything is me and all is in me and I am in all. This idea itself is so beautiful. When I often or whenever I get a chance to go for a walk, I see flowers, I see birds, I see leaves, the gardens that they have set up nicely now. And I look into everything and see and think that all this is divine only. Though it all looks different, but it's all the same beauty, the same what we call as Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. It is what is present in everything that we look around. So also human beings, so also in inanimate things. Everything is the same divine. The thought itself is so liberating. Being followers of Sanatana Dharma, this is the greatest blessing we have. You go elsewhere, at best you will be told you are a sinner or a saint, and accordingly you will be going to hell or heaven. But you come to Sanatana Dharma and it says you are essentially divine. In fact, Vivekananda says you are potentially divine. It has to manifest, that's all. It's already there in an unmanifest form within you. But the manifestation of it is possible only through certain spiritual sadhana or practices. You clean the soot that covers the lamp and light is there. Light was never gone. Then the clouds pass, through wind blows and the clouds move, the sun shines again. Sun was always there, never gone. So also our innate nature of divinity is always there, despite our follies, faults, frailties, our mistakes, our shortcomings, our imperfections. Sanatana Dharma still says you are God and nothing else other than God. Everything else you think you are is not true. The only truth is that you are God as you are. How liberating is this thought? That you are given such encouragement to walk this path. And success is assured because you already are that. When we children play treasure hunt, there's a game called treasure hunt. There are a lot of cues hidden here and there. And when you read the cues, you go to the next cue, you open that, you see what's next, and then go to the next destination. And finally, you reach the treasure that is hidden somewhere. Each cue leads to the other. And every time you solve that cue, you go to the next one, and finally you reach the destination where the treasure is hidden. Why do you even begin this journey of searching for the treasure and following the cues? Because you are sure that there is treasure at the end. If there was no treasure at the end, you didn't even know that you are going to get anything out of it. Why would you even be motivated to put efforts? So this is kind of a treasure hunt. And what is the treasure? Divinity is the treasure. And we have to search for that treasure. Where do we search? Within. How do we search? Through all these slokas. These are cues. Follow these cues, you'll be led to the next cues. Believe that everything is divine. Contemplate on it. Believe in it. Then live accordingly. What is the living part of it? Tyaktena punjita. Sacrifice and consume. And do not take another person's belongings or wealth. And do this how many times? All your life. Even if you want to live for 100 years, keep doing it every year. Till you reach the treasure and you realize that divinity, keep doing this work. So that is how these Upanishads have been designed to show us the way towards our own destiny, our own divine destination to realize ourselves. But these practices are important. Just chanting the slokas will not take us anywhere. Experiencing the meaning by contemplating and practicing is what is needed. For the sake of children, like small boy was there, he was a very big dunce. He would go to school but wouldn't learn anything in the Gurukulam. Our Gurukulam children are very smart. I've heard them, they quickly pick up everything. But this boy was taught when he went to the school by the teacher, one Mahavakya. What are these Mahavakyas? Those who tell us the truth, the great statements of the Vedas. So he was taught, Aham Brahmasmi. Aham, I am, Brahma means God, Asmi, am. So I am God, that is the meaning of the mantra. So he learned that and came home. And his father asked, what did you learn today? He said, Aham Brahmasmi. What is the meaning of that mantra? He said, the teacher is God. because he told, I am God. The teacher explained. He said, no, no, teacher is not God. It means I am God. Oh, is it? Then he understood that teacher is not God, it's the father who is God. When his uncle came and asked, what did you learn? He said, I am Brahmasmi. What is the meaning? My father is God. He said, no, father is not God. I am God. That is the meaning. Then somebody came and asked, what did you learn? My uncle is God. So there was no end to his misunderstanding of the mantra. Till he got a lot of scoldings and he was told, you sit and meditate on this. Do dhyana, contemplate what is the meaning. And then he meditated and contemplated on it. And slowly the meaning revealed itself to him that actually the meaning of the mantra is that he himself, so also everything else is God. That is how this Aham Brahma Sarvam Brahma mantra came into existence. Actually, it's made of two mantras. Aham Brahmasmi, which is just now you heard, and the other one is Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. New Mahamantra came into existence, Aham Brahma, Sarvam Brahma, which is far more simplified version of the great Upanishadic truth. But just by repeating it like a parrot, we are not going to get anything out of it. By meditating on the meaning and then trying to experience it in everything, when you say Sarvam Brahma, just look around and say everything is so perfect. The sun, the moon, the stars, the universe, the rivers, the air, everything is so meticulously and so perfectly designed by the divine. In that perfection, there is divinity. Look at a plant. Look at how the leaves form in a staggered way, so that every leaf gets the sunlight that they need. That very divine intelligence that makes the leaves come up or sprout from the stem in such a way that every leaf gets some sunlight. What a divine design, what a divine intelligence. And you mean to say nothing exists behind all this? That this is just pure science or nature? And there is nothing behind this? How is it possible? It was Edison who was traveling in a train when another scientist was sitting opposite to him, saw him reading the Bible. He was a young man in 20s. And so the old scientist, in his arrogance of being a scientist, told, I do not know what's happening to the young generation of scientists. They are more superstitious than what we thought they should be. They read all these kinds of Bibles and things like that. Then he told, I need to talk to you, young man. I need to drive some sense into your head. So Edison said, please come to my laboratory. I am here. And please let me know what you think. So this old scientist, in his arrogance, went to his lab the next day. And there, as he opened the door, he saw the model of the solar system with the sun and the planets and all that revolving around. He was very impressed with the model. And by the time he was admiring it, Edison walked in. And he told Edison, what a beautiful model it is. Who created it? He said, no one created it. It just came into existence like that. The old scientist said, what are you talking? Have you lost your mind? How can this come into existence without a creator? Somebody must have created it. Somebody must have made it. He said, no, nobody made it. I just opened the door and it was there in the morning. He said, you're trying to fool me. Don't even try. I know there is somebody behind it. He said, no, I'm asking you a question. For such an ordinary model which is not even real, you believe there has to be a creator for it. And for this entire universe which runs so perfectly, without a mistake, you believe there is no creator behind it, there is no intelligence behind it, there is no power behind it. It's pure science. When Big Bang happened on one fine day and the whole universe came into existence. Even if a Big Bang has to happen, some two things have to collapse to create a bang. What were the two things in the first place? Who has the answers for all that? Nobody has answers. As I said, science is still exploring what spirituality already knows. And how these rishis got to know all these things without any devices or equipments or any gadgets or technology of today's times, because they were connected to their higher source in the supreme conscious state, where they were connected with the supreme source of all intelligence and knowledge, which is divinity. They could know what was what. And they simply said it in the verses of mantras like this in Upanishads and Vedas. And that is how we got to know. Now we are actually going and doing research. A lot of this research is happening on our Upanishads and Vedas, more in other countries abroad than in India. This is called the hard problem of consciousness. They're trying to understand what is consciousness, how does it work, what is its nature. And all this research is now started. Even universities like Harvard and all have taken up. And they are working scientifically to understand this concept that there has to be a force behind everything which is intelligent, which is aware, which understands things. And that is what we said, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So this is the idea of how science is slowly meeting spirituality in the new endeavors. So with all these knowledge, these Upanishads make us understand that we own nothing in this world. Everything is owned by the great supreme divine. We are just custodians, at best beneficiaries of all that the divine has created. One can be a farmer, but has one created the seed in first place? One can be a teacher, but has somebody created knowledge in the first place? It was always there. One can be a painter, but can one create colors in the first place? One can be a doctor, but has somebody created a human body in the first place? One can be an engineer, but has he created the elements in the first place? All this is given by God, using which we become whatever we become, and then become so arrogant that we deny the very existence of God who has given everything. This is the foolish of human mind, foolishness, which forgets very quickly and becomes arrogant and stupid very soon. So Upanishads are a constant reminder, don't become foolish, don't become arrogant, don't be ignorant. Realize this truth and live according to this truth. Just knowing the truth is of no use. Living the truth is the more important part. What he said, practicing the presence of God. That's most important. This basis on this, I had given 3 principles to our institution: Daiva Priti, Papa Bhiti, Sanghaniti. Daiva Priti means love for God. When you see all this is given by God selflessly, fall in love with God. You call by name by God or Brahman or Yehovah or Jesus or Buddha or Krishna, doesn't matter. Whoever that entity is. How can you not fall in love with that entity who is so sweet to us, who is so nice to us, who is so kind to us? We will fall in love. So Daiva Priti, you will develop love for God. Then what does it translate into? Papa Bhiti, fear of sin. Fear of sin means fear of doing anything wrong to anyone. This is what? Magudha Kasya Svidhanam. Do not hurt, harm, or steal from others. Because you believe in God, you love God, you don't want to hurt God. You do always want to make God happy. So that becomes the second principle. And third, Sanghaniti. When you are never hurting anybody, harming anybody, in the society, Sangha, there is Niti, there is some discipline, there is some principles that are being followed of kindness, compassion, charity, sacrifice. But this all starts with love for God. And love for God can happen only when you believe that God exists and all this that is going on, Ishavasyam, everything is permeated by the same divine. So that is why these Upanishads are important to set the society right, set our thinking right. Very practical Upanishads. If anybody comes and says this is all, cock and bull stories and nobody needs it today in this scientific modern world, they cannot be farther from truth. They are foolish to say this. And we have seen what damage science has done. If science was good, spirituality, which would have tempered that scientific achievement, would have saved the world in a better way. But then without spirituality, science became weapon in the hands of selfish people. So this is where spirituality can help us to moderate ourselves, think right, discriminate, and use science in the way that it helps the humanity, not harms humanity. So all this is the benefit of reading the Upanishads. And as it is said, when you do not follow this principle, you are condemned to dark hells. Again, as I said, dark hells are not somewhere away from here, though there is Upanishad or there is a Puranic way of explaining that there are various lokas where people exist in an energy form. And that happens when you learn that we don't have just this physical body. Physical body made of 5 elements is only called the gross body or Sthula Sharira. But within the body, there is a Sukshma Sharira consisting of mind. And mind has various parts. The identification with the body, that's Ahankara. Then the intelligence, which is part of the mind, that is called Buddhi. Then the memories and all the accumulated our vasanas and all the habits is Chitta. And there is the mind itself, the entirety of it, like a pot with the contents. So mind is a composition of all these things, all the thoughts, emotions, memories, habits, intelligence, and identification. All this together is mind. That is Sukshma Sharira. That is beyond our body. So when one dies, the body alone dies. This mind, which is like a software, it is taken out of the computer hardware and is transferred to another computer. That's how rebirth happens. So when you transfer this data from this one to that one, naturally all the data gets shifted to the next computer also. You start behaving, the next computer starts behaving just like the previous computer. Because everything has been fed into the new computer using the old computer's data. Like your phones. When you upgrade your phone or you change your phone, you simply transfer all the data of this phone to the next phone. And the next phone looks just like your previous phone. So this is how bodies change, but The mind keeps shifting. So mind is endless. What is the end of the mind? When you give it to God. You merge it with God. You identify yourself not with the body, but you identify yourself with this supreme consciousness, Isha, that witness Sakshi. Then the mind ends. Like river goes into the ocean and becomes the ocean, the mind enters the mind of God and becomes God. And those people are then driven by that God's mind, not by their own minds. So this is the idea. That is a Sukshma Sharira. And beyond that, when the mind ends, and only the energy of the God is there, and God's mind is working through you, that's Karana Sharira. That is what we call it the spirit or something like that. That's called Karana Sharira or causal body. So beyond the mind is another energy level where there are no personal thoughts, personal identification does not exist. The only identification with the supreme consciousness exists. That is what is the ultimate third stage of being. But beyond that is Brahman, they say. Because even here, there is a separate existence from Brahman. It's like a pot of water is different from a well of water. But the content is same. But that water also is poured into the well and pot is broken, there is no difference at all. So that is the Brahma Sthiti. Why I told this is because the next slokas you need to understand these differences. Otherwise, not next, but next to next slokas. So understand that we just don't die. That is why we are visited by ghosts. Sometimes we get dreams of our grandmother who passed away and things like that. Because these people exist in another Sharira who are able to access your mind in the dream state. Dream, mind is active, body is not active, mind is active. And mind gets accessed by these other entities. That's how, even in meditation, we get access to that. Similarly, I tell people, have a strong mind, don't have a weak mind, because weak mind will get easily influenced and captured by these ghosts and other entities. A strong mind, what it can do, it can avoid all these negative entities. They cannot access their mind. In fact, these strong minds can access higher powerful things. They can access all this knowledge of the universe and meditate and get to know more things. So mind is very important. It is that software which runs the body, the hardware. And what is Atma, you will ask? This Supreme Spirit is like the electricity or power that enables the software and hardware to run. So on that electric power, the software of the mind runs, the hardware of the body runs. Think like that. We'll go to the next sloka, where the description of that Atman or Brahman is being given. You would say, I am the body. The scriptures say, no, you are not the body. You say, I am the mind with all my emotions and thoughts and identification. The scripture says, no, you are deeper than that. And what is the nature of that deeper than that is what has been explained in the fourth shloka. It says, Aneja dekam manaso javiyo nainad deva apnuvan purva marshat tadhavato anyanatyeti tishtata tasminnapo matarishva dadhati. It says, Anejat. Anejat means unmoving. The nature of the spirit is unmoving. Your body is moving, your mind is all the time moving. But that spirit doesn't move. That nature of consciousness doesn't move. It's always there. What is it? Ekam. It's one of its kind. There is no two. Like in my body, the spirit is different from the spirit in your body. No. The electricity is same. Bulbs are different. But the electricity, it's only one and not many. And doesn't move. It stays constantly. It doesn't change. Manaso javiyo. But still it runs faster than the mind. Mind is the fastest. What is the fastest thing on earth? Yaksha was asking Dharmaraja in Mahabharata. He says, mind is the fastest and the subtlest. You can imagine you're sitting here, but your mind can immediately go to America and come back within a fraction of a second. You're sitting here, your mind can go immediately to the playground and come back. So mind is so powerful, it is the fastest that you can think of. But this says the Atman or the spirit or the consciousness is faster than the mind, because before the mind goes there, it's already there. Why it can be faster than the mind? Because it is everywhere. Can any athlete run faster than the earth? That is the question. Can it ever run? Because wherever he goes, earth is already there. Likewise, this Atman is already there. So mind can never say that I can cross Atman. I can race faster than Atman. So is always there. Naina Deva. Deva means here, all the Indriyas are called Devas. Diva means illumination. So our Indriyas like eyes, ears, nose, tongue, whatever, skin, they illuminate the experience of the world for us. Because through the eyes we see, through ears we hear, through the nose we smell, tongue we taste, skin we touch. And all these Indriyas help us to experience the world. So it's like they're illuminating the world for us. So Diva means brightness. Deva means these Indriyas. Devatas are also coming from this idea of brightness or illumination only. And if you go to another Upanishad, it says every eye, every organ of our body has one Devata inside it. Skin has one Devata, eye has one Devata, mouth has one Devata, nose has one Devata, like that. Nevertheless, so this is faster than the Devatas, means this is faster than your Indriyas. So before your eyes can see, it even goes beyond your vision of physical vision. It goes beyond your physical hearing, beyond your physical smelling, tasting, touching. It is beyond all these things. So Apnuvan, they cannot catch hold of it. Purva Marshita, because it is already there, it's much ahead of them, they cannot catch it. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. That divinity cannot be described in words. The mind returns from there, it is said. Because mind is unable to catch up with it. It's everywhere. These are all poetry. You see, this poetry is so beautiful to explain the ultimate nature of divinity. And that says, Tadhavato, when it runs, or speed at which it goes. Anything else which is there, Anyan, Atyet, it goes beyond everything that runs in the world. It means it is always ahead of everything. It is everywhere in everything. Therefore, nothing can go and catch up with it because it's already there. That's the idea. Tishtata, while it moves everywhere, it is also Tishtata. It always steady. It never moves, it says. And Tasmin apaha matarishwa radhati. And that is the source of all the power that Matarishwa means air has. Air is not just the air, oxygen and all the nitrogen and things like that. Here the air, it refers to prana, that prana shakti. When you breathe in, there is this prana that comes in, that energizes the body, and with that energy we work. There are 5 kinds of prana, the prana, apana, udana, vyana, samana. There are 5 kinds of life breaths, which our scriptures and Ayurveda understands. But there is a way the body works. These 5 kinds of vayus are there, pranavayus. So it says, who enables, who energizes the body? This vayu. And who gives the power to this vayu, which moves faster than anything else? Something that is even more powerful than the air or vayu, which is that Atman. So it is very full of paradoxes. It is not moving, yet it is running everywhere. It runs the fastest, faster than everything else. No one can catch up with it. It's always ahead of everything. This is the way to say it permeates everything. It permeates everything. That is the way to say it pervades and permeates everything, which is what the first opening verse is, Ishavasya Idam Sarvam. It's everywhere, like space is everywhere. It's inside you, it's outside you. And even if you don't exist, space exists. So like space is everywhere, which is the closest to the Atman in its description. So that is how this is trying to explain that is the reason why even we breathe, even we exist, we are able to undertake all the activities. Like prana is when you intake of the, apana is to breathe out or take it out. Udana is to breathe forces that take our things up. Then vyana is which circulates. Samana is which ensures that everything is in harmony, everything is balanced. So all these things are physiological functions with which we exist. And all this is enabled by that one supreme source of consciousness, is what the shloka is telling. It's basically trying to tell you the importance of knowing what your true nature is. And then the next shloka again is a similar description. It says tad ejati tanna ejati. It means it moves. Ja means to move or come into existence. Ejati means to move. It moves, yet it does not move, it says. When you are moving in the car, it looks like all the space is moving with you. But space is not moving at all. It is always there, but it looks like everything is moving along with you. So it gives an illusion that it is moving, but the space of the universe does not move. It is the steady space. The earth may be rotating or revolving, but the space is not revolving around earth. Space is steady. Earth is moving. Like that, this thing is steady even though appears to be moving. So it doesn't move, in fact, it is what it is. Neither it moves nor it does not move. Tad dura, it is far, tad antike, it is near. Naturally, space is everywhere. Just compare with space and think of Atman in that way. Space is everywhere. Far away also, you see there is space. Here also within my cell, within the cell of my body also space exists. The same quality of space exists. Tad antarasya sarvasya, it's there inside everything. And tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha, and also outside everything. What is that? Is like a puzzle. What is that which is here, which is far, which is near, which is inside, which is outside? Body cannot be that. Mind cannot be that. Something beyond that is that. That is Atman or Supreme Consciousness, which permeates and pervades everything. There is a story that Gyanadev Maharaj was there in Maharashtra. It seems that one Agori saint came to meet him, and he came riding on a tiger, that saint, because he had power to control such cruel animals also because of his yoga. And then he was controlling the tiger with a snake, it seems. He was using a snake as a whip, like we use whip for horses and bullocks. So he was using a snake for a whip and riding on a tiger he was coming. But he had heard the glory of Gyandev, who was a boy of some 8 or 9 year old. He had heard about this glory and he wanted to know who this boy is getting more famous than me. Let me see why people are flocking to him and not coming to me with all my powers. So he was coming, it seems. It's a recorded story. And Gyandev, Muktabai, Sopan, all these people were there, siblings, 4 siblings were there. And these people are all sitting on a wall, hanging around like that. So some villagers came running and said, you know that Swamiji is coming in a tiger, on a tiger with a snake for its whip, and he wants to come and see you. Then Yandev Maharaj says, oh, is it so? Let us go and meet him. But you don't have a vehicle. He's coming in on a tiger. How do you go? So he just tells the wall, let's move. And the wall starts moving, it seems. So the idea is that the consciousness is there in the wall, and Yan Deva could tap into the consciousness and tell wall, let's move. And the wall starts moving. Now you know how this universe has come into existence. That consciousness decided, let's come into existence, and suddenly what scientists call as Big Bang theory actually is nothing but that one sankalpa of that consciousness, that supreme energy which always existed, to just come into manifest itself into an existence, and the whole universe has come into existence. So if you go the antithesis or go reverse, what can you do? Take all the matter and keep sucking it back, compressing it. You'll again go back to that one point in the time somewhere billions of years ago or trillions of years ago, from where everything began. So science should agree that if something has come out of something, there has to be something in the first place. Something cannot come out of nothing. But that something was not matter, that was not manifest, that was an unmanifest state of existence, which science is not agreeing to because they have not gone that far yet. But this very logic, nothing can come out of nothing. In the sense, anything has to come out into existence, there has to be some basis, some raw material for it, some beginning for it. How can something come out of nothing? So spirituality says, yes, that existed before everything came into existence. What is that? This is the one who is inside, which is outside, which is far, which is near, which is everywhere, yet doesn't move, still it moves everywhere. That one existence which was completely aware, it was knowledgeable, it was intelligent, that existed even before every other existence came into picture. That's why the wall would move, because wall also has that consciousness which he can. So the idea is that all this material manifestation has come out of that one original source of consciousness. And even wall is conscious. That's why as Indians, as Sanatan Dharmis, we are very careful. We don't want to hurt anything. We are very, very careful with whatever we do. In fact, Jain monks go even one step ahead. They even wear a mask all the time because they don't want to breathe in an insect or any other invisible organism and kill them. They're so careful. That is the respect and reverence we give to God when we revere and respect the creation. You are actually respecting the Creator. And the Creator is this force which is everywhere. Now the next shloka is so beautiful. These are the 2 shlokas which are my favorite. The 6th shloka. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyeva anupashyati sarva bhuteshu cha atmanam tato na vijugupsate. Yastu, yahatu, the one who, sarvani bhutani, in all the beings. What does he do? Atmanya eva anupashyati. Every being that is around, he says as the self only, that self alone is there in everything. That one supreme consciousness alone is in everything. Sarva bhuteshu cha atmanam. And he sees that all that is there as his own self, not distinct from him. He sees himself in all and all in himself. Such a person, na vijugupsate, never hates anybody, never gets disgusted, has any negative emotions for anyone. How can you have? It is you, so how can you hate yourself? It is you, how can you discriminate? How can you think any other way other than loving? So therefore it is the one who sees everything in himself and himself in everything has no ill feelings for anybody. Imagine the beauty of this look. If everybody sees everybody as their own and they see themselves in all, why would we harm or hate or hurt anyone? We will love everyone. We will serve everyone. That is the secret. And the similar shloka which comes, the next one, which again lot of time Swami Vivekananda would quote, he says, Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaivad bhut vijanataha tatra ko moha kashoka ekatvam anupashyataha. The one, when sees all the existence that is there in front of him as being born out of the same original source, Atmaiva Bhut, from that same Atman, that same supreme divine consciousness, everything has come into existence. That is the thing that existed before Big Bang theory. That is the original source of all existence. Then such a person does not have to have delusions, moha, attachments and delusions. What is moha? This is mine, that is not mine. You are attached to something, you are not attached to another thing. This happens because there is a sense of I and mine, and they and others. That disappears from them because he sees everything is born of the same source. We are all made of the same thing. We are not different from each other. A bangle may look different from a chain, may look different from, let's say, a ring, but all of it is gold only. If you melt them all, it becomes gold. So jeweler does not see the bangle or the chain or the ring. He sees the gold in everything. So he does not really hate a bangle or love a chain or doesn't dislike a ring or like a bracelet. No, for him the value comes from the gold, not from the ornaments that the gold has been made into. Because he knows easily, even if a chain breaks, no problem, I'll melt it back again to gold. I will recover the value of it. I will not lose anything. So he has no reason to hate or love anything because everything he sees as one, which is gold. Likewise, a jnani sees everything is made of the same Brahman, same consciousness. Therefore, he cannot discriminate, he cannot prejudice, he cannot like or hate. For him, everything is himself, everything is same. How can you hate one leg over the other or love one hand over the other? It's all you. So that feeling comes to this jnani who sees that oneness where so much of diversity exists. This is the wise see unity in diversity. The otherwise see diversity in unity. So the one who sees oneness alone sees. Ya pashyata sa pashyata, it says Bhagavad Gita. The one who sees that oneness alone sees. All others are blind only. Because they are seeing something else. They are not even seeing the truth. So if you're not seeing the truth, you are as good as being blind. So are we able to see the truth in all the people as oneness? Very difficult, isn't it? Because we externally are so different. So how do we develop this kind of vision of oneness? What is the way? How do we do it? Further shlokas will explain what are the ways to reach that state where you realize that oneness. So far we know oneness is what is the truth. We know that once we know oneness, we are kind and compassionate to each other. Once we know that oneness exists, we will not be condemned to hells where we live miserable lives of selfishness. We will not see others as different from ourselves, and therefore we will enjoy everything, everyone, everybody will accept as our own. All this is possible. But the next question you should ask is, yes, I would like to experience that oneness. The promise of that oneness is so, so glorious. I need to experience and enjoy that oneness. Please help me. The Upanishad says, yes, yes, we will do so. But some people do it all wrong, and some people only get it right. There are many paths and many misinterpretations and misunderstandings about the spiritual path. And those have to be first given up. They will come in the further shlokas. When a dog enters a room full of mirrors, I give this example often. What does the dog do? It looks at so many dogs in the mirrors. And what does it do? It gets scared and starts barking. The more it barks, the more it gets barked back at. Once it barks, all the mirror dogs start barking back at the same poor dog. He gets scared, runs away from the room. Same room a human enters and looks at his reflection from different angles. What does he do? He starts enjoying it. He starts looking, oh, I look like this from this angle, that angle, and he knows all this is me. So he doesn't get scared. Shoka, moha, nothing exists. Loves every of his image. Why? Because everything is me. He has immediately understood that. Dog is incapable of understanding. It will hurt himself barking, but he will never get the solution to the problem. Whereas a human will enjoy every of the image because they understand that all this is me. This is the idea of seeing oneness in diversity. A jnani sees everybody as one, and therefore he always has love for everybody. Whereas an ajnani, ignorant person, sees everybody as different, and so he hates and loves, he becomes friends and enemies, he helps and he hurts. All this happens because he's not able to see himself in all, and all as him. All reflections are me, and I am all the reflections in the mirror. That is what a jnani would see. An ajnani, like a dog, would say, no, those dogs are different from me. I am different from all those dogs. And he will bark and bark and bark. That's what we are doing all our life, fighting, barking, shouting, hoarding, hurting, violating. Why? We look at all those images as different from us. So the solution to the problem of the world to bring peace and harmony is to believe in this oneness and then live that oneness through experience. When you are totally confirmed in that oneness, there is no reason for you to hate anybody. This is the blessing, this is the great, great gift of Upanishadic knowledge. Which other scripture you tell me on earth tells about this? That we are just one, we are not many as we look at things. We are just one and the same. How many of Upanishad, how many scriptures tell this? Upanishads have told this not today, thousands of years ago. They've understood that oneness and they don't depend on the external things. As I said, ring, chain, all that is external manifestation. The inner material is gold. A beautiful shloka comes from Mundaka Upanishad. Yatha unanavi sujate granate cha. How spider weaves his web. Like that, the universe has come out of the same material, same God. Brings the universe out of himself, lives in the universe and swallows it back like the spider swallows it back. It's very interesting to watch a spider weave its web and then live in it. And all that material has come out from its own stomach, whatever fiber. And then it makes a beautiful web, lives in it for as long as it wants, catches a few insects, eats, enjoys, and then once it's done, it eats back all its web and goes to another place. Like that, this universe is come into existence from that divine supreme self. The supreme only permeates and pervades the entire universe, and at the end, everything gets merged into the same divine self. So everything is divine. How beautiful is this thought? How beautiful is this thought? This is what I keep on telling our Upanishads. The one who sees oneness truly sees. All others are more blind. So it's easy now to sacrifice because you know everything is us. You're not doing a favor to anybody. When you do seva, you're not doing a favor to anybody, I tell them. So if you go to the chapter 2, after this background, now it is so wonderful to know that everything is us. The truth is that you cannot describe it. Whatever you try, you cannot describe. You have to only experience it. That's why in other Upanishads it is said, Na vidmo na vijanimo yat hetad anushishyad. I do not know. I do not understand. How can I teach it to you? Because it cannot be taught through senses. It's an experience. Sweetness is there. Let's say you want to experience a sweet. You have never eaten a sweet in your life. Can somebody explain to you what sweetness is? They cannot. Unless you eat a piece of sweet and know that this is how sweetness feels on your tongue, nobody can explain to you. I can write a paper on sweetness. What it is made of, what is glucose is there in the sugar, and this is the chemical formula, and this is the reaction that happens when it touches your tongue. And nothing of that can explain to you what sweetness is. Likewise, God cannot be explained in words. They are only trying to get as close as possible to explain how it is. But they can never tell this is what it is because you have to experience it for yourself. So this is what the idea is. But here they are describing in a nice way. He says, what is that Brahman like? Sir, he is Paryagad, all pervading. It goes everywhere. Then Shukram, Akayam. Shukram means bright, luminous, self-luminous. It doesn't need anybody else's help to be seen. It is by its own light, it is seen. Like sun is seen in its own light. Like that is bright. Akayam, without a body. It's a light without a body. These are all ways of saying it. Because if you put a body there, then it becomes perishable. So it's not perishable, not limited, therefore no body. Then it says Avrinam, without any injury or damage, because there is no body, so there is the question of any damage. Means there is no imperfection. If a body is there, there is some imperfection will be. There is no imperfection, it means perfect. Avrinam means perfect. Asnaviram, Asnaviram without muscles. This is all the tissues, muscles and everything that helps build the body. So it does not have that physical limitations. What else is Shuddham, Apapa Viddham. It's pure. There is no contamination in it. What is contamination? Selfishness is contamination, I say. There is no contamination, absolutely pure. Apapa Viddham. It is untainted by sins. It has never done anything wrong. It has never hurt anybody. It has never committed sin. That is the nature of that Brahman. First line says. Then Kavir, Manishi. Kavi means the knowledgeable one, the wise one. And Manishi also means the intelligent, all-knowing one. So he is very wise, far-sighted, and he is very knowledgeable. And what else? Paribhu. Pari means perimeter, like in the edges. So he exists everywhere, basically till the end of everything. Do we know the end of the universe? Do we still know the final perimeter of the universe? No. So he exists till the end, whatever be the end, whenever we decide. Then Swayambhu. He is also born of himself. Just now I told. The world has come out of God, but you will ask, who created spider then? Who created God? God himself created God. He has the capacity to create himself. Nobody else possesses this capacity. Others can regenerate themselves from an existing thing or extend themselves from an existing thing. But this Godhood is something that has come out of his own Swayambhu. God created himself out of himself. What was the material? God. What was the process? God. What was the product? God. This is how the God was. So everything was God. It's made himself out of himself because it was always there. There was never a time when he was not there. Just think, sit one starry night, you sit and look at the sky and think of the stars and say, okay, what lies beyond the stars? You say another galaxy, another universe and multiverse. What's beyond that? And beyond that, your mind will get overwhelmed because there is no end or edge to this universe. This galaxy may end somewhere, but something else starts after that. This universe ends here, but next universe starts. And there are continuously universes being born, they're saying. New universes are coming into existence, it is continuously expanding. It's overwhelming to even sit and look at the sky and look at the stars and think. The problem is that we don't think, we don't make note of, or we don't take notice of all these amazing phenomena happening. We just are busy eating, sleeping, making merry and dying. So much is happening around us we don't pay attention to. Just sit one starry night and look at the sky and just meditate on this thought. I am sitting in Chikbalapur, Sai Grama, then there is Karnataka, then there is India, there is Asia, then there is Earth. After Earth, there are other planets, then there is this sun. And this sun is in one edge of that Milky Way somewhere. And beyond this sun, there are much, much bigger suns. This is not the biggest sun that we have. And we have all those names now. And beyond that, there are more, and there are more. And there's endless. Where is the edge of it? Where is the end of it? Where is the boundary of it? Nobody knows. More so, now scientists are telling it's continuously expanding. And more universes keep coming into existence all the time. And there are billions of universes. Just think of it. Where did it all come from? What was the raw material? You to build a house or a hall like this, you need this much cement, sand, bricks, all kinds of things. Who created that much of raw material to create this size of the universe and the universes and multiverses? It's overwhelming. You feel such pygmy, such puny, little tiny existences in front of this vastness of the creation. And all this has come out of simply an entity called God who did not have any name, form, nothing. He just was an existence. And from that existence, all this came out. Aitreya Upanishad describes it very, very well. The whole creation is being described there. How nothing was there. From there a thought emerged. Nobody knows me that I exist. Let me create something. And from that very thought, that sankalpa, immediately there's a manifestation. All these energies started forming. First four things happen. These are the elements, first four elements, or space, whichever we call it. Marichi, Mara, Ambha and Apa. So Marichi is the heavenly area where light exists, that light as the element. And Mara is this earth, and Apa means water, and Ambha is the space in between the skies. All these came into existence, and slowly from there, the first Virata came into existence. From Virata, slowly all the organs formed, and it's a poetic way of describing. Trillions of years of whatever has happened is described in like one paragraph. Because Rishi has seen it in his own meditation in flashes. He didn't go what happened 5 billion years ago, before that what happened. He did not. He just saw it at one go. So that description, that poetry is there in Aitreya. Very beautiful. So this particular entity is Paribhu. It's everywhere at the edge. Also Swayambhu. It is born out of itself. There's nobody who gave birth to it. And then Yathat Atyataha. It is born as it should be. There is nobody who can give a list saying that it should have been this way, should not have been that way. A lot of fools are there. They keep suggesting things should have been this way, that way. One fool was there who told, what is this creation of God? Apples are growing on big sturdy trees and pumpkins are growing in such tender, weak tendrils. Apples should have been on the small tendrils and pumpkin should have been growing on the tree. Just then an apple fell on his head. And he said, God knows what he is doing. So, everything is as it should be. We complain about everything in our life and everything in the universe. We think we can improve upon existing creation. No, as it should be, it is that way. This is his nature. And what else is there? as it should be. Arthan, and it is the one which gives us duties. Artha means a goal, a desire, or something that needs to be achieved. So it has given us all our abilities and all that which need to achieve. A plant needs to grow, take carbon dioxide, give oxygen. That's what it does. It's been doing that for ever since it came into existence. We are doing the opposite. We take the oxygen and give carbon dioxide. We have been doing that. So who put all these functions in place? Who decided water should be cooling and fire should be warm or wind should be this way? Who decided? Who gave all these jobs to everybody? That one who created everything. And then it says, Arthan Vyadadhat has given a lot of duties to every element, every person, every insect, every being. Nobody is useless in this universe because he has given a job to everybody too. Then Tashwati Bhyaha, it is forever. Shashwata. Shwa means tomorrow. Shashwata means forever. It always is there. And Samabhyaha means forever. So it is always there. It was never a time when it started. If anything can be started, it has to end. So this whole concept is not a line from point A to point B. It's like a circle. Where it began, where it ends, nobody knows. Every point is a beginning, every point is an end in the circle. So this universe, this God, this concept is infinity. That is what Anantam is. A circle is infinite. It keeps, you cannot start or end. It goes on and on and on. A line ends and begins and ends. So this thing is Shashwata. It had no beginning, therefore there is no end to it. This is the nature of Brahman that has been described by our rishis. It always was, is, and will be there. And what is the state of its existence? Is pure, unsullied, untainted by sin. No negativity, nothing wrong in it. Everything is pure about him. And it does not have a limitation of a body so that we don't start identifying it wrongly. It also must be a God with lot of hands. See, Purusha Suktam and all describes, but that is all symbolic. Like motherland is symbolic. Bharat Mata, we put up a picture of a statue of liberty. She's not a liberty, is not a lady that existed somewhere. It's a concept which has been personified as a lady who stands for justice, liberty, and things like that. Similarly, Mother India, we say, a lady with a sari and a flag. No lady exists like that. It's a conceptualization, a symbolization, a personification of a concept. Because we being in bodies always want to see somebody else also who looks like us. Our gods also should look like us. Then we are able to relate to them. Therefore, they make the mistake of giving a body to this concept and think that it also is born and dying. But it is not so, it says. So it has removed all those confusions, said it is infinite, it is ultimate, it is pure, it is ever, it is sinless, it is present in everything, everywhere. This is the description of Brahman God. Now tell me, all those who say Hinduism is people worship this, worship that, they worship an elephant-headed person, they worship a monkey. All kinds of gods are there. Matsya, fish is there, tortoise is there, pig is also there, boar. Then half man, half lion. Then Parshurama, Rama, Krishna, all these, all kinds of things we have worshipped. And we have no problem with all of it. But then you will say, when were they born? When did they die? When they died, how could they be God? I said, yes, they died in the body because they came for a work, they finished the work and died. But after that, the original force or the consciousness within them remained forever. Energy never dies. We all know it gets only transformed from one form to another. So electrical energy is becoming light energy, is becoming fan energy. So the energy never dies. Same concept. Physics, law of physics is the law of metaphysics. This supreme conscious energy does not die. It changes forms one to another based on the time, place and situation, whatever be the need. So once you see that, you don't see differences. The idea is focus on that oneness. Look at the gold, not at the ornaments. Look at the water, not at the waves. Look at the space, not at the buildings. And look at this Atman inside all, not at the bodies. Then only we are able to appreciate this oneness and live in harmony and peace. Otherwise, we will always fight that you are different from me, I am better than you. All the racism, casteism, all the nationalism, all this jingoism, all this is born out of the same nonsense of seeing differences where there is no. So next he says that, okay, so this is the nature of that true self. This is what we need to understand and experience, is what the Upanishadic Rishi is trying to drive us towards. I believe that Ishavasya Upanishad was not written like in one go. I'm sure it was a collection of shlokas from different rishis, and finally it was compiled into these 18 shlokas by some rishi, maybe Vyasa's disciple. It's not like a poetry because it is very different. The meter changes, the use of words change, the type of words change, the concept changes. It's like jumping from one thought to another. So I'm sure it's a compilation, collection of lot of verses written by a lot of people, and somebody has put it together into one Upanishad. So don't be too surprised with these jumps and change of concepts. Eat your mango, don't worry about the seeds. So enjoy the Upanishad. Don't get into too much of technicalities and why it is like this, why it is not like that. This is a waste of time. You enjoy the essence of the Upanishads and enjoy that. The next sloka is goes. So before the next sloka, I think there is a small slide is there about the four parts of the Vedas. This is very important because without that you cannot understand these slokas. So in those times, the only source of knowledge for all the people were Vedas. So everybody read Vedas, at least the knowledgeable ones. And these Vedas, as I mentioned, they were born from a divine intervention. When the rishis meditated and they got this knowledge, they said it out, and for thousands and thousands of years it was passed on as oral tradition from guru to shishya. And there is no real scientific or historic evidence, but they say around 5th century BC or something, they all started getting written. Probably they say it because that is the time when universities came into existence, the first university in India, that of Takshashila, and then Nalanda. So hopefully at that point of time, the king sponsored the program, the project to compile and write it down. So probably that is when they started getting into print version or written version, scripts. Before that, they were oral traditions. So for how many years, we do not know. How many thousands of years this was being spoken and passed on. But one person who is credited with compiling and classifying them is Vedavyasa. And again, it's a very funny thing that Vedavyasa himself was born to a rishi, a Brahmin on one side by name Parashara, and his mother was a fisherwoman, Matsyagandha. So he was himself not fully a Brahmin. He is worshipped everywhere as Bhagavan Vyasa, they say, not even ordinary Vyasa. Bhagavan they call him because he's full of wisdom. Bhaga means brightness. The one who has that effulgence is Bhagavan. So he's called Bhagavan Vedavyasa. So he caught hold of some disciples, put them all together, and worked on classifying the Vedas, giving some structure to it. So then the four Vedas came into existence, Riga, Yajur, Sam and Atharvana Veda. And each of the Vedas had four parts. And first part was called Samhita, which was collection of only the mantras. Like Om Namah Shivaya is a mantra. It's in Rig Veda. It is a part of Rudra Prashna. And that is a part of Samhita. That mantra is Samhita, using which we do rituals. When you do Rudra Homa or something, you chant this mantra, Om Namah Shivaya or whatever, and Om Namah or Narayanaya, whatever. And we keep putting the ahutis. So that ritualistic worship needed some mantra to be used. That is what Samhita is, a collection of all the mantras. Then Brahmanas, that is the second portion of it. It's not like they are classified A, B, C, D, one after the other. They're all mixed up inside. But we understand them as the purpose of that particular thing is this. So Brahmanas were nothing but the guidance of performing the ritual. How much should be the Yajna Vedika size, for which god, what kind of Yajna Vedika to be used, what kind of offerings we have to make, at what time of the day we have to do it, all kinds of what you should wear, what should you be preparing for. All these detailing has happened in Brahmanas. Then Aranyakas are there. These are nothing but those mantras and how to meditate on those mantras. What is the process of meditation on those mantras? How to contemplate on the meaning of those mantras and what will be the benefits of doing that. Those were all explained in Aranyakas. And finally, as I mentioned yesterday, Vedanta, which is the, so to say, end of the Vedas, but it is the ultimate truth of the Vedas, the last word of the Vedas. That's how you should think, which is the philosophy, which is what we are learning. So why these four parts are important? Because actually everybody was supposed to learn all the four and practice all the four. What happened over a passage of time is that people got interested in the first two parts. They mugged up the mantras, memorized them, and then left, right, center, they were doing rituals. So people are like that. They don't even think why this is needed. There should be a reason, there should be a sense in what you are doing. But this orthodoxy and ritualistic worship became so powerful at some point. When Adi Shankara took upon himself this task of teaching Vedanta, those were the times when other schools of philosophy were very powerful. And what is called Purva Mimamsa, this is called Uttara Mimamsa or Vedanta. Purva Mimamsa school was only about rituals. And people became so arrogant that I know all the mantras, I know how to perform this great yajna, I know I can do this. And people, the ordinary masses who did not understand, like our poor NRIs, they were simply falling at their feet and worshipping these orthodox ritualistic people. And Adi Shankara realized that this is absolute nonsense. This is not Sanatana Dharma. Rituals are important, but that is not the ultimate thing. I say spiritual is more important than ritual. So the philosophy part went missing. And that is when Adi Shankara tried to improve that with bringing a new school of thought which is called Uttara Mimamsa or Vedanta. So the first two parts of the Vedic literature deals with these mantras and the performance of rituals. People got stuck there. Then there were one more part of people which were called Upasakas. Upasakas means they only will meditate on the mantras. They felt the ritual is not important. Even without ritual, we can manage. We'll do whatever mantra upasana we will do in our mind. Many people do it. I allow that because they don't have the wherewithals to do it. Not that God needs all that physical material things. You can do it even in your heart. But it's not an excuse. As a Vedic Pandit or as a person of knowledge, you have to do rituals and with the philosophy and meditation. So there are three things that come into existence in our Sanatana Dharma. One is these rituals, second is the meditation on the mantras, and third is the philosophy, the realization of the truth behind all these things. That is Vedanta. Shankaracharya only has very nicely put the purpose of all these things. That Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, and Jnana Kanda it is called. It says Karmani Chitya Shuddhyartham, Ekagrartham Upasana, Mokshartham Brahma Vidyayam iti Vedanta Dindima. What is the call of the Vedanta? What is the declaration of Vedanta? The knowledge, one. Karmani Chitti Shuddhyartham. Actions should be performed to purify your heart. You also see when there is Ganesh Chaturthi or some puja in your home, you wake up early, you take good bath, you wear some good clothes, you clean up the whole place, you set up the altar, you feel so good. Your mind is totally, completely engaged in the process because all five senses should be concentrated. Otherwise, senses will go here and there if you're not engaging them. So, eyes are engaged, hands are engaged, nose is engaged, smelling good things, ears are engaged, listening to mantras. That's how a mandir creates the atmosphere where it attracts and engages all your senses. Go to a temple, what do you see then? One is with eyes, you see the deity, all the rituals. With nose, you smell the camphor and the incense and the flowers. Ears, you hear the mantras, the sound of the bells. With hand, you offer worships and whatever with the taste. And then with tongue, you chant and also take prasadam and enjoy. So it makes your experience complete. Rituals are important. That's what I'm trying to draw. It helps you to keep yourself mind concentrated and focused. So that is why it helps you to purify your heart, purify your mind. Because that time you do not have any other distracting thoughts. So this is why rituals. Similarly, you have rituals in Judaism, you have in Islam. They do all these 40 days of fasting and things like that. What is all this? Or even our Sabrimala people go 40 days, really take upon themselves very austere lives. These are all ways to purify ourselves. But that is not the end of it all, this thing. What is that? Your concentration, your focus on upasana is required. You should meditate on why you are doing all these things. You should know why you are doing. That upasana is all the other side. Ritual and upasana. Upasana, ekragirartham, means for concentration of mind, upasana is important. Then finally, mokshartham. But this doesn't give you moksha because you have not understood the philosophy behind it. So mokshartham brahma vidyayam. This all vidya which you are learning in Upanishad is the way to moksha, liberation. All three are important. But what happened in those times when these Upanishads were being written, most of the people were only doing rituals and not bothered about the philosophy or the truth behind it. They were not interested, nor they were capable of understanding. And the whole SQ, I would say, spiritual quotient of the society came down. And Adi Shankara was very pained by this. What they have reduced the whole Sanatana Dharma into, just set of rituals without any sense behind it, without any philosophy, without any truth. And this is an arrogance of the priestly class who knew all these rituals, and they treated everybody else who didn't know Sanskrit or who did not know how to do rituals as lowly. And they kept this access to these things denied even to women of those families. That was the kind of society in which Adi Shankara was trying to bring about a reform. So these Upanishads, that's why are important because he highlighted Upanishadic understanding and knowledge in those times. So Upanishadic knowledge comes in the Vedanta part of it. Right? The upasana, the meditation comes in Aranyaka part of it. The rituals come in the Samhita and Brahmana part of it. The next shloka says, Andham tamah pravishyanti ye vidyam upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo yau vidyayam rataha. Two things are mentioned, avidya and vidya. Vid means knowledge. Ya means that. Knowing that is the process of knowledge. So there is something called vidya and there is something called avidya, means not knowledge or wrong knowledge. So these two things existed at that point in time. And what were they leading to? The shloka says, people who follow avidya, The wrong knowledge, where did they end up? They end up in dark place. Andam, blindingly dark, pitch dark. They enter such areas. Again, it's not a physical area, it's in your mind. If you're ignorant, you're dark, you have been kept in dark means what? You are ignorant about something. So this idea of avidya, now what is avidya? I'll come to it. And then he says, those who follow the path of vidya, those who think this knowledge is right and they follow it, they go to darker hells, he says. Apparently, it is very paradoxical. Why would somebody who is doing the better thing should go to darker hell? Avidya means with wrong knowledge or wrong understanding. Vidya means with right knowledge, rightness. They also go to darker hells. So what is he trying to convey is what he says. See, avidya in this place is referred to as this karma kandas. What we call this ritualistic worship is avidya. So it's very obvious that if you do rituals without understanding, it is not leading you anywhere. So you are going to go to dark hell. Is basically you will be ignorant always. Understandable. The vidya part, why those who are doing it with the knowledge of aranyakas, the meditation, those who do meditation and think that God is greater than all these things, doesn't need rituals, they should at least attain God. He says, no, they'll go to darker hell because they think rituals are not important. We just meditate in one corner of the cave and don't need to engage in any rituals, we will attain God somehow. So here Vidya is not about Brahma Jnana, Brahma Vidya. Here Vidya is about Upasana. And Avidya is about Karma Kanda. So avidya, those who do karma kanda alone without proper understanding, they anyway don't understand, so they go to hell, dark hell. And those who think that they don't need any ritual, they are good enough, they will meditate on some god and mantra and attain the wisdom, they also go to into darker hell because their understanding is totally wrong. Their understanding is totally wrong that they don't need. These were the issues in those times. This basically is being highlighted here. Next one, shloka. These two are different. The path of Vidya and Vidya. Anyat eva ahur Vidyaya, Anyat ahur avidyaya. Iti Shushrumadhiranam ye nastad vichakshire. He says this path of Vidya and Avidya, both are two different paths. They have different results at the end. You must understand what Karma Kanda would lead to and what Upasana Kanda would lead to. You have to understand the difference between the two. And these differences are not told by me, the Rishi says. They are so humble. Here, plagiarism is there. You catch hold of somebody's research, you publish it in your name and get a PhD. In those days, they simply humbly said, what I am trying to explain to you for your benefit is not my personal knowledge. It is somebody who has told me, I have heard it from the great ones in the past, and I am simply presenting this knowledge to you. There's no name of the Rishi anywhere. Simply is left the knowledge saying, some great ones told me, I am telling you. That these two are different things. Vidya and Avidya are two different paths, they have different results, and this has been told by the great ones in the past. And what is this result? He says, Vidyam cha yastadvedo bhayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya amrutamashnuте. 11th shloka. It says, Vidyam cha avidyam, these two paths of right knowledge and wrong knowledge, both are together. One has to take it together, he says, is what one should think of, not think in silos. Because they have different results. What is the result? Avidyayam mrityum tirtva. With this ritualistic worship, you can cross over death, he says. What is the meaning of crossing over death? And with Vidyaya, with Upasana or the other path, you will attain immortality, he says. So again, as I said, each Upanishad has been written in a context. The context, if you don't understand, you will get confused about what is being said. The context is, this ritualistic worship were done for what purpose? Today also we do ritualistic worship like Pavamana Homa. Pavamana Homa for what purpose? For good health, long life, less obstacles. Or you do Lakshmi Kubera Homa. For what sake? To become wealthier, to have more prosperity in life. Similarly, all these rituals had a purpose. You propitiated a particular god who had particular powers to grant those boons to you. Ayush Homa we do. We do Vastu Homa. Similar, so many other types of Homa. So it was a very catalogued, very scientifically mentioned rituals were there. If you do it this way, then like Shiva loves Abhisheka. Abhisheka Priya, they say. He likes to be bathed by us in water, milk and honey, and he loves that. So that is the ritual prescribed for Shiva. For Vishnu, it's a Sringara Priya. So you have to do a lot of decoration. Get Tulsi Dalamara, or to put a lot of silk and beautiful. He loves decoration. He loves being decorated. So you think of Ganesha. He likes his modakas. So when we do Ganesh Puja, we offer modakas and durba grass. We don't give other things to him. Similarly, every single god has certain likes and dislikes. And these all have been written in these scriptures, in the Brahmanas. And so we have to do it accordingly. Their Yagnapitas are also different sizes, shapes, and things like that. So when you do all these things, you are able to please that particular god. For what sake? To get boons. What boons? Like the list of the boons that we have. So if you do it correctly, it has the effect of getting the boons from those gods. That is the avidya marga, he's saying. Because are we born just to make our material lives better? Or is there a greater purpose, is what is being said? Is it not just foolish to ask these petty things from gods when they can grant us better things? Is it not ignorance of a kind? Is it not avidya of a kind? That's what you have to ask. Much more can be attained through all these things, but we end up asking for petty, material, ordinary things of this world and of other worlds also. See, these rituals are not just for this world. You want to go to heaven after you die. You want to live very happily amongst the Swarga, in the Swarga, amongst all the great beings and have good time. You don't want to come back to earth again. Why? Because earth means again all these problems. You have to earn, you have to pay taxes, you have to struggle. Who wants to do that? In heaven, there is no problem, no hunger, no sleep, no problem. Everything is good and happy there. So to go to heavens, people used to do rituals like this. Like Nachiketa's father was doing in Kathopanishad, some ritual to go to heaven. This is all avidya only, is Adi Shankaracharya's commentary. Is avidya, that you are doing rituals for the sake of material gains, either is in this world or go to a higher heaven and enjoy lives upstairs there. What is the point? That is why it's called avidya. So you are only going to go into ignorant hells. Remember, Nachiketa was told by Yama, don't ask me the truth of what happens after death. That is my bread and butter. You can't take it away. You tell me, ask me anything, I'll give you. I'll give you the greatest of the heaven, the best of the 7-star heaven, I will put you in. You'll get all the facilities that you ask. In whatever is not there also, I'll give you. Add it to your list of few freebies also. Nachiketa says, nothing doing. I know all this is going to end one day. I may go to heaven, live 1,000 years there, enjoy life, but finally I will come back to earth when all my good karmas are over. So I do not want heaven. Tell me the truth so that once for all I get rid of this birth and death. Nachiketa is very smart. He doesn't give up for small things. This idea that just going to heaven or attaining prosperity in this world through ritualistic worship is ignorance only, avidya. Then what about, I don't ask for all these ritualistic worship. I don't want anything like promotion or good life or long life or wealth. I will do meditation. I hate these rituals. Anyway, I don't know how to do it. I'll meditate on God. I'll go to a cave in some corner of the world, Himalayas or somewhere, and I will do upasana or bhakti also, you can put it. Many people are bhaktas also. These are very, very scary bhaktas. Even gods will be scared of these bhaktas. They are so regimental. They are so rigid. So I tell them, even that kind of a bhakti upasana is no use, because you're again saying bhakti, you're shedding tears, but your arti, artarti, a jignasu, this is what kind of bhakti you're doing. So that bhakti is of no use to me. No use to you also at the end. You may be able to attain some greater siddhis, some greater powers, but this is not the end of the road. That is not the ultimate destination. So here Vidya has been used in the context of Upasana Kanda, which is Bhakti Marga, or which is meditation Marga, which you think of one particular god or deity. You don't necessarily do ritual, but you go on meditating, contemplating on them. But that also gives you certain benefits of going to certain places. You get identified with gods. So the avidya part, the karma kandas take you to Pitrulokas, they say, where your forefathers are living in good heaven. And the Vidya Marga, Upasana on certain god like Ganesha or Shiva will take you to Vaikuntha or Kailasha or whichever loka they live in. That is what most of these slokas they end with, Shivalokam Gamishyati or Brahmaloka Gamishyati or some Kailasha. So you get those benefits. But are they the final destination is the question. They are not. So thinking that, no, I am doing better because I am not doing ritualistic worship, I am at least meditating on a particular god, I am better than you, it's even a bigger foolishness, therefore a bigger hell for you. Because your expectations were too high and the reality is different. So both are not really, but together he is saying, understand the value of both together. Do the rituals as it is prescribed, but do with the understanding that it is for the greater purpose. So when you do rituals correctly, what happens? Mrutyum Tirtha. You will go to a certain heaven. You will cross over death. Cross over death means you will not be born again, at least in the immediate future. For certain thousands of years, you will enjoy heaven somewhere. That is why Mrutyum Tirtha. And what about Vidyaya Amrutamashnute? If you go to this Vishishtadvaita or Dvaita people, they say, once you attain moksha, this kind of moksha, where do you go? You live permanently in Vaikuntha. You live permanently in Kailasha. So you never come back as a human being again. But have you merged with the divine in the Purnamada Purnamidam state? No, you haven't. So here immortality or Amritattvam is being compared to being able to stay in that state, elevated state forever. But still you will be distinct from the Brahman state. Still you have not achieved the Purnamada Purnamidam state. So this is why these two things are okay, Karma Kanda or Upasana Kanda, but they all have limited results. Nevertheless, together this is what it can lead to. You can cross over the death and reach the certain place in heaven and stay there forever. Never come back as human beings because you have done Upasana also. And that particular God has granted place at his feet. So you don't have to worry about coming back to earth ever again. But still you are remaining distinct or different from the idea of Brahman, which is all permeating, all pervading oneness. You still feel the difference. So these three schools of thoughts are there in India: Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, and Advaita. Dvaita school is duality, where I am only a devotee and that is God. I am just nobody comparable to him. I am devotee, I will worship him, I will do all the rituals, I will do everything. At the end, what will happen to me? If I have done it all right, all well, he will bless me with moksha. And what is the moksha in Dvaita? Moksha in Dvaita is that your soul will be elevated and you will live with that particular God at his place. Like they have the idea of Vaikuntha, 108 Vaishnavite pilgrim places are there. They have to go to every one of them. And finally, two of them are not in the physical world. They are in the heaven, in Vaikuntham. The last part of it is you go to Vaikuntha and live with Bhagavan Vishnu. That is their ultimate moksha. They don't ask anything more than that. But still you are separate, Vishnu is separate. Vishishtadvaita, the qualified monism, it says, yes, you are devotee, but you are made of the same thing as him. But yet you are not him. Don't think you and he are same. Yes, you are made of him. There is some spark of divinity in you also, but you are not all divine. So maintain your status of a devotee and pray and worship and meditate and please that divine so that you also same thing will happen. You will get elevated, you will go and stay with Krishna in Krishna Loka or Vishnu with Vishnu Loka, Shiva at Shiva Loka. This is the concept of the Vishishtadvaita also. But Advaita, which is Shankaracharya's method, he says you are not different from your God. You just don't know. That's the problem. Ignorance is the problem. And the solution is wisdom. That's all he's saying. You are that only, but you just don't know that you are that. Once you know, you become one with the divine. And which divine? Not a divine who lives in Vaikuntha Kailasha. That supreme, all-pervading, all-pervasive consciousness. You will become one with that, he says. So when a river meets the ocean, let's say if it flows towards the west of the country, it goes into Arabian Ocean. If it moves towards the east of the country, it goes into the Bay of Bengal. Now, can you tell that river which went into the Arabian Ocean is a better achievement than the one which went into the Bay of Bengal? At the end, even Bay of Bengal and Arabian Ocean are not different from each other. They are all connected, right? So likewise, these philosophies may look different and superior or inferior. But at the end, the ultimate achievement of spiritual efforts is this understanding of oneness, where there is no two, there is only one. That is Advaita, that is the philosophy Shankaracharya propagated. Whereas it was Madhvacharya who did the duality, that is Dvaita, and Vishishtadvaita was Ramanujacharya. So all these people have contributed in their own way and given people their own direction towards spirituality. But till you attain the oneness with the divine, it's not yet done. So Vidya, Avidya, all these paths are okay. At the end of it, it doesn't lead you to the ultimate unless you have realized oneness with the divine. That is why Adi Shankaracharya says, Jajantu devataha kurvantu karmani vadantu shastrani bhajantu devanam atmaikya bodhena vinapi mukti na siddhyati brahmashatantarepi. You do all Devata puja, you do all the rituals, you do anything that you want, but if you have not realized this oneness with the self, atmaikya bodha, you will not attain the true liberation even in 100 lifetimes of Brahma, they say. One lifetime Brahma itself consists of 100 such cycles, Mahayugas and all that. And in each Mahayuga there are cycles of 4 yugas, which is, we call it all the Satyuga, Treta, Dwapara and Kali Yuga. And this keeps repeating, it seems. And then for 100 times also it repeats, Mahayugas happen also, you have not achieved it because you have not understood the oneness with the divine. So the idea of Upanishads is that while it appreciates you do all the efforts in the physical plane or a mental plane, do worships, upasanas, Yet, at the end, the goal should not be just to attain a higher heaven, a few material things in the world or beyond, or to go and live in duality forever. It has to be to realize that oneness and understand this unity of all creation. That's where your journey ends. That's where the river becomes the ocean. Till then, it is not done. That is what these Upanishads are saying, which also kind of proceed in the same lines. And after that, it goes to, again, it changes gears. And then there is submission to the divine, that you please help me to attain this ultimate truth. Not heavens and not richness and wealth and progeny and cattle and material prosperity or name and fame. You help me attain that oneness is what the ultimate end of the Upanishads would be. So the idea is that our Upanishads just don't tell you what is your goal or how does it feel when you reach that goal. They also tell you the path, and first, before even telling the real path, they tell you what is not the real path, so that you don't take the wrong train or go into the wrong roads. They are even being so cautious to tell you take the right path, take the right way of doing things. Don't get into the wrong lanes. How cautious the rishis are. How well placed these slokas are. Even though they are collection or compilation from many sources. And yet so humble. It's not my knowledge. It is the knowledge of my ancestors, my forefathers, the greater ones who came before me. And I'm sharing with you out of just this obligation that you also should do well. Why should I only benefit from all the understanding? You should also understand. And his Rishi is so kind. I see my reflection in him, who's overcautious all the time. I'm always worried. Before students start something or devotees start on a path, I caution them, see, you can also go to the wrong path. They look the same, but they will be not the same. So just be careful. This is what the Rishi is saying. They may look the same, this avidya, vidya and all that, but they're not the same as what I want you to achieve. So just be cautious, just be careful. This is how the Rishi is cautioning us. This is the compassion of our Rishis, I would say. They could have enjoyed this knowledge for themselves, attain the moksha and be done with it. No. Brahmavida, despite being Brahmavidas, they're active in the service of the society. They are the best of the Brahmavidas, says Mundaka Upanishad. Prano hi esha sarvabhuter vibhati vijanan vidwan bhavate nativadi. Atma Krida, Atma Rati Kriyavan, Esha Brahmavidam Varishtaha, it says. Who are the best amongst the knowers of Brahman? Not those who have settled down in the Himalayan caves, never to come down again. Not those who have become kind of, inaccessible to the common man by hiding in huge, big matas and not allowing anybody to have darshan or touch them or talk to them. But those who, despite having attained that wisdom and enjoying that wisdom within and without also, they see that oneness and enjoy the same leela of the creation of the divine. Yet they are very busy, very engaged, very active in promoting and propagating this knowledge for others also. That is their selflessness. So this is where Upanishad with Vedanta come in and say, all that is okay, do it, nothing wrong. But don't stop there. That is not the end. These are means and not the end. End is Vedanta. End is to realize that oneness in all. But paths travel through these roads, no problem. But be mindful of what your ultimate destination is. Unfortunately, we get stuck halfway through and we are happy with that. We think this is good enough, we'll settle down for this. But that's not all of it. That is why Upanishads push Uttishta Jagrata Prapya Varanya Bodhata. Keep walking till you attain that goal. However difficult it might be, if you give up halfway through, its journey is not done. You'll have to come back to this earth again in another birth and start all over. Whether you go to Pitruloka, Devaloka, Gandharvaloka, Indraloka, doesn't matter. At the end of it, you'll again come back to the earth. And again you have to start from the scratch. Why do you want to trouble yourself with that? Rather attain that oneness than whether you are in earth or in other loka, it doesn't matter, because you are not affected by any of it. You can live in the world will not live in you. That is the kind of life one should lead, so that one is relevant to the society, useful to the society, helpful to the society, but within oneself, one is completely detached and liberated as one is. That is the result of reading Upanishads. I hope it inspires you, and you please go and contemplate on it. Try to understand what is your purpose, what is your goal, how are you going to attain it. And that is how slowly clarity will emerge in your own heads, in your own mind, from your own within. And then you follow that path, and it will take you whatever asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrutyorma amrutam gamaya. That is how you will be able to attain.